Okay, some more of the trig review, 15 through 20. We just want to evaluate the trigonometric expression. These are larger than 360-degree angles or negative, so we just have to kind of adjust them, get the equivalent angle, which isn't too bad. Let's start over here with number 15. And it was the sine of 400 degrees, sine of 480 degrees. And if I just subtract 360 from that, take it all the way around, that's going to be the same thing as the sine of 120 degrees. And that goes around 90, so that's going to be 90 and 60. So my reference angle for that is going to be, same thing as the sine of, well, if we put it in radians to make it a little bit easier to see that, so it's going to be the same thing as 2 pi over 3, right? 2 pi over 3. And we know that that's going to be positive because it's in the second quadrant, and it's going to be the square root of 3 over 2. Because the sine of pi over 3 is the square root of 3 over 2. So you can use your unit circles to help with that. Or you can always draw it. Goes over here 90 and 30, so that's what we got there. So there's your 30, there's your 90. That's going to be your reference angle be 60 degrees, so there we go. Sine of 60 degrees is going to be, again, square root of 3 over 2, except, and in the second quadrant it's positive. All students take calculus. All right. Number 16. Cosecant of 510. So again, I'll just subtract 360 from that to get that, into my range there. So if I subtract 360 from that, that's going to be the same thing as a cosecant of 0, 5, 150 degrees. Okay? So if you want, you can sketch that if that helps. We start over here. We're going to go all the way over here, 90 and 60. So that's going to be my 150 degrees, and there's going to be 30 left to make 180, so this would be 30. So it's going to be the same thing as a cosecant of 30 degrees. Which is going to be 1 over the sine of 30 degrees. And the sine of 30 degrees is, first of all, it's going to be in this quadrant, so it's going to be positive. So it's in the second quadrant, so it's going to be positive. And the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. Right? So it's going to be 2 over 1. So it's going to be just positive 2. Is that all right? That makes sense. Cosecant's 1 over the sine. So the cosecant of 150 is the same thing as the cosecant of 30, which is 1 over the sine of 30. In this quadrant, it's positive. Okay? Or you could, if it makes you feel better, 1 over the sine of 150 degrees. It's still in this quadrant. Same thing as 30. That's your reference angle. So it's going to be positive 2. Okay? Is that all right? If you want, you could put it in radians also. That might make it easier for you to see that because we've been working with radians. It's the same thing as the cosecant of 5 pi over 6. That might be easier for you to see that. And you should be able to get positive 2 out of that. Okay, number 17. Like I said, there are all kinds of ways to do these, so I'm not too sure, how your personal preference will play out. Okay? Tangent of negative 450 degrees. So if we add 360 to that, or you can, I can see you can always sketch it, you know. I'm going to start over here. And we're going to go negative 450, so I'm going to go negative 360. So that's clockwise, so negative 360 right there. And then I'm going to have to go another negative. Well, if I add 360 to that, I get negative 90. So I'm going to have to go another negative 90 over here. All right? So that's one of my quadrant angles. Okay, the coordinate over here on my unit circle is going to be 0, negative 1, cosine over sine. And the tangent is the sine over the cosine, so it's going to be the same thing as it's going to be negative 1 over 0, which is undefined. Okay, so 17 is undefined. So if it's better for you to sketch these out or just subtract, you know, whatever works for you. 18. Cosine of 570 degrees. If I subtract 360 from that, I'm going to get 210. And like I said, you could sketch it to see what it looks like so you know what quadrant you're in anyway. Start over here. Go all the way around. There's 360 plus another 210. So there's another 180 and another 30. So there's my reference angle, 30 degrees. And it's in the second quadrant, so it's going to be the same thing as negative the cosine of 30 degrees. Because the third quadrant. It's going to be in the third quadrant, and the cosine is negative in the third quadrant. Remember, all students take calculus. All right. So there's my 360, 180, and another 30. So it's going to be negative cosine of 30. Cosine of 30 is usually square root of 3 over 2. So negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay. And number 19. Secant of 870 degrees. So that's going to go 720s all the way around twice. So I'm going to go 720, subtract 720 from that. And I had 50 and 1, so 50. So it's going to be the same thing as the secant of 150 degrees. Or 1 over the cosine. So if we sketch it over here, there's my initial site. Going around twice, that's 360, that's 720, and then another 150, so there's 90 and 60. And 60, so what's left? 30. So my reference angle is 30. It's going to be the same thing as 1 over the cosine of 30 degrees. But it's in this quadrant, it's negative, so it's going to be the same thing as negative. Because all students take. So the cosine in this quadrant is negative, so it's going to be negative cosine of 30 degrees. It's going to be 1 over that, excuse me, 1 over that. So that's going to be negative, and the cosine of 30 degrees is the square root of 3 over 2, so 2 over the square root of 3. And you can rationalize that if you want, or leave it like that. It's fine for me, okay? And then number 20, see if I can squeeze that in over here. Cotangent of 675. So if I subtract 360 from that, cotangent of 315. You can change this to radians and probably figure it out. All right, same thing as the cotangent of 7 pi over 4. 7 times 45. If we go around, there's my 360, and there's another 270, and there's another 45. Let's see, 7 pi over 4. And there's 45 degrees. Except in this quadrant it's negative, so it's going to be negative the cotangent of 45 degrees. All right. So it'd be equal to negative cotangent of 45 degrees, which is equal to negative 1. Okay? So you could draw sketches, or you just kind of change them into radians after you're going to remove a factor of 360 degrees, and you should be okay.